have the utmost respect for educators. I've said this once before on a debate under the Education Ministry in a budget. I think this is the only field that I can point to where these teachers and principals, their entire aspiration in life is to see children who they educate reach the highest levels in society. That is the greatest gift you can give those teachers and principals. Their whole aim, in other words, if you look at it another way, their whole aim is that they want the children that they teach to reach higher levels than themselves. Such is the sort of magnanimity behind those individuals. Certainly my experience with regards to teachers I have had, I might have not been a very obedient student, I might have been a terrible student, but the aspiration was always well-meaning. So it is in that respect that I would like the Honourable Prime Minister, who is the Minister of Education, to take my intervention today. Because I, for one, believe that if there is any head that deserves the most amount of support in a budget, it has to be education, number one, and second, health. Because if we get those two heads wrong, I can assure you, nobody will want to remain in this country. I mean, today is, and I ask the honourable members opposite as well as here, don't you believe that if you had an opportunity to sell your children abroad, you wouldn't take it? That is the depths to which we have fallen. So my comments today, Honourable Presiding Member and the Honourable Prime Minister, is on the basis that we must give the maximum support that we can, so that these educators, actually they are not, I mean, the salaries that they get is nothing for the amount of effort, for the amount of goodwill that they want to repose in those students is actually nothing. And it is in that respect that I would ask the Honourable Prime Minister to see my comments. Now, one of the things that I want to raise is with regards to the increase in salary scheme. Now, the government has made an increment, but I think some time ago, when the teachers and principals were protesting, I remember the Honourable Prime Minister and the other MPP members were very supportive of that protest. I remember speaking in Parliament in support of that protest, and I completely agreed with the comments made by the Honourable Prime Minister then. And that was, if I'm not mistaken, with regards to the Subodhini Commission's recommendations. And because of those protests, eventually, if I'm not mistaken, in 2022, I think they managed, the protesters, the teachers and the principals managed to secure the first stage of the Subodhini recommendations. It was divided into 3 years. They managed to secure the first stage. And the assurance given at that time was that the second and third stages would follow the following 2 consecutive years. But that never happened. So in that respect, if we look at the increments that are being offered under this budget for the 3 years, if you take the whole of the Subodhini recommendations at the end of the 3 years, had it been fully implemented, only the first year was implemented, but if it had been the 3 years, plus the 3 years that the government is recommending under this budget for the next 3 years, an SLTS 2-2 teacher would get under this budget 66,880 rupees. Under the Subodhini Commission recommendations would have got 82,150. The difference of 15,270. SLTS 2-1 grade, the difference would have been, that is a grade of, under this budget, the full implementation at the end of the 3 years. And the Subodhini recommendations at the end of the 3 years would have been 27,310. Like that it goes on. SLTS 1, the difference would have been 34,990. SLPS, Principal Service Grade 3, the difference would have been 9,870. SLPS 2 would have been 25,120. SLPS 1, 32,230. So, what I am saying is that if the Honourable Prime Minister, at least for the next budget, is in some way, if the economy improves, goes to the Subodhini recommendations, I will be its strongest supporter. And I can assure the Honourable Prime Minister that not a single member in this House will oppose her if those recommendations are in fact implemented. And I ask the Honourable Prime Minister, there are so many ministries in which cuts can be made, totally unnecessary. One such ministry is the Defence Ministry. But this is one field to which I think we all owe those people who work so hard and who are so magnanimous in the way they approach this field.